Okay, I've got 6 o'clock, so I'm going to open the meeting of the June 18th meeting of the East Long Meadow Planning Board. Present are Lou Morabito, George Kingston, Tide Richards, and Russ Denver. John Torsha is, as I believe, out of the country at the moment. But we do have a quorum in 4. Pursuant to Mass General Law, I need to announce that we are recording this meeting for the minutes and that LCAT is video recording the meeting. If anyone else is recording the meeting, please identify yourself and your organization. Hearing none, we'll proceed. First order of business is to reorganize. Do I have a motion to elect Russ Denver as chair, George Kingston as vice chair, and Tide Richards as clerk?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Are there any further nominations from the board? Hearing none.
Lou, wait. You look like you're about ready to say something.
No.
Oh, okay.
You want to be chair?
No.
I think so.
That's what I thought you wanted.
No.
Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. Mr. Denver, you are in charge.
Well, just for the people who are on LCAT, so George Kingston has been chair and a member of this board for quite some time. So I've just completed my second full year, and it has been a wonderful opportunity to learn from you.
Thank you.
I think your knowledge of the zoning ordinance and the history of the planning board has been exceptional. And I know that you provided guidance to 3 of us who have joined the board in the last couple of years, so I want to thank you on behalf of all the citizens of the town of East Long Meadow. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank you, George.
Thank you, George.
So, I'd like to see approval of the minutes of May 21st, 2019. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed say nay. It passes. So just for the people in the audience, we've had several requests to continue hearings. So number 7, which is the proposed commercial development for Shaker Road, is asked for a continuance. And item number 9, which is a takeout restaurant for North Main Street, and the special permit associated with the takeout restaurant for North Main Street, which is number 10, has also been asked to be continued. So I would ask if there's a motion to continue those 3 hearings.
First of all, I make a motion to take those 3 items out of order.
Thank you.
I'll second that motion.
Motion to take them out of order.
A motion to take them out of order.
No, I need a second.
I'll
No,
second
we got a
it.
second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed, say nay. Okay.
So I'll make a motion to continue the hearing for the proposed commercial development at 244 Shaker Road, site 2019-05.
Do I have a second?
Second. Go ahead, sorry, Lou.
No, go ahead.
No, I'd rather have you doing it.
I second it.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay.
And that is continued to July 16th, 2019. Make a motion to continue item 9, the special permit for the takeout restaurant at 192 North Main Street.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. No nays, it passes.
Okay, that's also to July 16th. And then I'll make a motion to continue the site plan review 2019-06 for the takeout restaurant at 192 North Main Street to July 16th.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a motion and it's been seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. Nay, it passes. So we go back to item number 1,
Oh, make sure anyone that thinks they're here for those can go home.
okay? If anyone's here for those motions that have been, those issues that have been continued, feel free to leave, and you'll know that they've been continued. So, first item of business. Ty, do you need to read?
Yeah, SPRW 2019-16, Willow Barn Designs, Request by applicant for site plan waiver for a floral and home decor shop at 83 Maple Street, AKA 81 Maple Street, Assessors Parcel ID 16-124-0, located in Industrial Zoning District. Applicant is Michelle Martinelli, 283 Elm Street, East Long Meadow, Mass.
Ms. Martinelli, you wish to come forward with your representative?
Sit here, it's fine. I'm sick, I'm sorry, I have no voice.
So why don't you
Just
just
go.
tell us a little bit about what you're gonna do there?
I do floral design, fresh flowers for weddings, events, and then home decor, like boutique-y style, so pillows, frames. I make a lot of silk arrangements, and just things for the specialty items for your home.
And what would be your anticipated hours of operation?
The only heightened hours will be at the holidays, but normally Wednesday through Saturday, 11 to 6. Sorry,
It's
I
fine.
have pneumonia, I just got back from the doctor, so.
Does anybody have any questions, any board members?
This is pretty straightforward.
We need to ask the public. Anyone from the public have any questions? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to accept.
So moved?
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
So we have a motion and it's been seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed say nay. Congratulations.
So much. My group.
Good luck.
Thank you. Sorry about my voice.
Second item?
SPRW 2019-17, Smoothie and Energizing Tea Shop. Request by applicant for site plan waiver for a smoothie and energizing tea shop at 130 Shaker Road, Assessors Parcel ID 28A-4-A2, located in Business Zoning District. Applicant, Crystal Jamez, 38 Fernwood Street, Chicopee.
Is Crystal Jimenez here, please? Come on up and tell us a little bit about it.
So what we're looking to do is really just kind of bring like healthy to the community. What we'll be doing there is just selling like healthy smoothies that have like tons of vitamins. There's lots of protein, so it's another alternative for food. And then energizing tea, just kind of trying to get people off like those Red Bulls and so many coffees. This is an all natural like guarana tea and green tea. It has vitamins as well, but it also keeps you energized and great for, it's actually great for teenagers, it's great for adults, it's great for everybody.
Does anybody on the board have any specific questions?
Very appropriately, it's next to the pizza shop.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, you'll get a lot of visibility, that's right. Does anybody from the public have any questions? Hearing none, I'll take a motion.
Make motion to approve?
I'll second it.
So we have a motion, it's been seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed say nay. You're approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Item 3,
Okay, SPRW 2019-18, Rage Worldwide Photography. Request by applicant for site plan waiver for a home office at 29 Fifth Street, Assessors Parcel ID 15-77-4Z, located in Residential C Zoning District. Applicant is Morgan Belanger, 29 Fifth Street, East Long Meadow, Mass.
is the applicant available? Is he here?
Good. Aye.
So tell us a little something about what you're gonna be doing there.
Well, that's just where I live. I'm a photographer, and all my clients, I travel to them. So my business just consists of my camera and my laptop, and I'll just be going to all my clients.
So nothing takes place
No.
at your house?
Did you just get voted best of Hartford? Was that you? Okay, so somebody was who?
Yeah, I shoot a lot in Hartford, but no.
Okay. Any other questions?
Make a motion to approve?
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, so we have a motion that's been seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. Passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 4.
SPRW 2019-19, Golden Years Home Care Services. request by applicant for site plan waiver for a retail business office training site in adult daycare in the business zoning district at 38 Center Square, assesses parcel ID 27-158-0. The applicant is Lisa Santiello, 136 Linwood Drive, Long Meadow, Mass.
I think that's Santinello.
It is.
Oh, sorry, Santinello, excuse me. Sorry.
Mr. Martin?
Good evening. I'm Bradford Martin, attorney representing Golden Years Elder Care. With me tonight is Lisa Santinello, who's the trustee, owner of the property, and Cesar Ruiz, who is operating and a principal partner of the company that runs Golden Years Home Care. Just to give you a little bit of a background, Golden Years has been operating for a number of years on Dwight Road in Long Meadow, growing fast, outgrowing their facilities, and have purchased the property that's subject to the issues tonight. The property is a approved use in the zone where it's located. And while there's been some different plans that have been provided to the planning board, no exterior changes are going to take place to the property, except for those things that have already been approved by the building department. So there's been some new windows put in and other things that have taken place. They've technically occupied it a little bit before tonight in terms of storage and things like that. The two main issues, I think, that the board had some concerns of or were raised was the fact that at one point adult daycare was going to be a possibility at the site. That is no longer the case. For business purposes, it's not viable. So it's only going to be used for offices, for training, and for medical record storage. So those are the only uses that are going to take place there. There is parking, not a lot, but there is parking along the sides of the building. But it's not going to be a high-traffic type of enterprise between the offices and the training, which takes place mostly later in the day. Mr. Ruiz is here to answer any of the questions regarding kind of the day-to-day functions of the business, if you have those types of questions. The building inspector has done a Section 34 review, and I believe they've recommended that there be a site plan waiver.
Okay. Members of the board have questions?
How many employees will there be on site?
8 employees, basic administrative staff,
Okay.
scheduler, HR, myself, compliance officer, and administrative.
And you have sufficient parking for that?
For those,
Yeah.
there's 3 parkings, 2 on the prospect side that are part of the property.
Mhm.
There's also another 2 to 3 spots between the building and Subway that you can fit in. And then there's the off-street parking in the front of the facility that historically has always applied to that particular building. I mean, there's no, if you go at any given time, nobody parks there other than those that are to be in the building. Our contractors park in the front there, but no one else, even the Subway businesses and businesses down the road, never park in that particular area. So it's pretty much those are 8.
Yeah.
My understanding, there's 8 parking. So total there's about 14, 13 spaces. The training area that we have in mind on the Shaker Road side for the medical records, it's going to be mostly in the evenings, and it would only be the maximum 5 to 6 people for our CNA training that we're going to be doing in-house.
Thank you.
Okay, let me make sure I understand this. So, you have 8 employees. What are the hours that the employees are going to be there? The reason why I'm asking all these questions is going to be all related to parking type issues.
Sure.
So what are the hours that they're going to be there?
8 to 5.
Okay, and then, okay, so between 8 and 5, in addition to your employees, who else will be coming to your building that will have a car?
After that, for our training, it would be a maximum of 5 individuals.
So during 8 to 5, the only people, in general, the only people at your building will be roughly the eight people with 8 cars?
That's correct.
Okay. So then the training is in the evening,
Yes,
and at that point in time, those 8 cars go away,
that's correct.
and another 8 cars come for the people that are gonna go into the training.
That's correct.
So basically, your whole operation really only requires about 8 cars. 8, 9, 10 cars, somewhere in that ballpark.
That is correct.
Okay, all right, I'm good.
And there's no handicap requirement?
Handicap parking, is that a?
Yeah.
Do we know if that's a requirement for this?
Well, it's not a requirement. I mean, those parking spaces in the front are very accessible.
I'm just thinking of ADA standard, that's all I'm thinking about.
Yeah,
I don't know
that's
what
a
the.
question that I couldn't answer. I mean, that would fall under your
But
premise.
I mean, a building permit's been issued, so I'm
Okay.
assuming that the building inspector
I
makes
mean,
sure.
we have handicap capabilities. We're expanding the entrance door for handicap capabilities with our handicap bathroom on the first level.
It's just a question we have to ask.
Sure, I understand.
So I'll just ask the basic question. So the exterior of the building, so you still have old signage up, and so how soon will all that be taken care of?
The old signage, we've already put in the orders. We're going to have the new face of those signs. Will probably be in there within the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
We will be coming before the board again for signage for the front of the building.
Not anymore, you won't. You won't be coming here.
No?
No, building inspector
Oh,
does that
okay.
now.
They,
Yep.
okay, that's fine. But we'll be moving forward. We haven't selected the design
Okay.
yet. We're looking for something very unique. It's a, real focal point of the property. We're looking, nothing's attracted us to that, but we want to really make it a really centerpiece for, not only for ourselves, but for the town. And so we're looking for something very unique, and we haven't seen that yet. We just don't want just letters or words out there. We have a temporary sign out there now, that it's our headquarters, but we are looking for something three-dimensional type of thing with our logo that will not say the words, but maybe just the fact that you look at the logo, it implies who we are.
Any other questions from the board? Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to approve?
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
So we have a motion that's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. Passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
I also want to say, I'm really happy that you're keeping both buildings.
Yeah.
And we're able to salvage them. Because they're kind of landmarks on the circle, and I'm really happy to see them stay there.
Well, we're excited to have the opportunity to acquire it. In terms of the social media, the town has been very, very supportive. It's not a day that doesn't go by with some members of the town is giving us accolades. Cleaning up the graffiti is now a focal point back on the tax roll. So we're expecting a long and fruitful venture.
Great.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Welcome to town.
Yep, good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
The site plan reviews that
Oh,
Russell will need to
actually,
sign.
Russ needs to sign.
Should I read number 5?
Please.
Mr. Chairman? SPRW 2019-20, Lucier and Sons, request by applicant for site plan waiver for a home office for a small home improvement business at 43 Breezy Knoll Road, Assessor's Parcel ID 36-73-0, located in a residential A district. Applicant owner is Stephen Lucier, 43 Breezy Knoll Road, East Long Meadow.
I take it you're Mr. Lucier.
I am. I am.
Tell us what you're going to be doing there.
Not gonna be doing anything there.
All right.
I'm trying to open a bank account and I need to do a business to open a bank account for a business. I'm a sole proprietor. I don't look for work. I'm not for hire. I work exclusively for someone else. Treats me as a subcontractor and I get a 1099 at the end of the year.
Are you parking a commercial vehicle
No,
on the site?
no,
Okay,
none.
good. Board have any other questions? Hearing none, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
So a motion has been seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone
All
opposed,
right.
say nay.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
ANR 2019-05, 15 Glendale Road, request for endorsement of a plan for which approval is not required on a .55 plus or minus acre site located at 15 Glendale Road, Assessors Parcel ID 16-98-47, Residential C zoning district. Applicant is applicant 88 Casino Terrace LLC, 296 North Main Street, East Long Meadow, Mass.
Evening.
Welcome.
Good
We're back.
evening, everybody. So, as you recall, we did present this plan, this is Dan O'Brien with Smith Associates Surveyors. We presented this plan a while back, a slightly different version of this plan, just seeking straight up A&R approval with the intention of perhaps a building lot on Fifth Street. Tom Kay, the principal for 88 Casino, is asking tonight for endorsement. The lot size has been shrunk down for the Fifth Street parcel, and we've added a note specifically saying that this is not intended to be a building lot until further action by an approval of the Department of Public Works and the Building Department. So at this point, Tom is marketing the house on Glendale and would like to maintain some control over the back portion of the property for future use if he ever decides or someone decides to improve Fifth Street, or perhaps some other option would come forward in the future. So.
Anybody on the board have any questions?
Now, I will note that we've received a legal opinion that this is okay to do from our town attorney.
Okay. So it's a motion to endorse. Do I have a motion to endorse?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
So we have a motion that's been seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. Been approved.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Very good, thank you very much.
See you at the break.
Oh, so we need to sign this, right?
Do you want to wait or endorse? Do you want to pick it up tomorrow?
I'm gonna be busy the next couple of days. Do you want to pick it up tomorrow, or would you like to have them endorsed now?
I'll pick it up tomorrow.
Okay, thanks.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you. Right.
Anybody have a problem with moving the library one up?
No.
Okay. So I'd like to see if I could get a motion to move item number 11 forward on the agenda.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
So a motion, it's been second to move item 11 out of order. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Okay, it passes. So I was remiss, Denise, so I apologize.
No.
But I'd like to ask our town manager to come forward to discuss. Do you
I'll
want to
read
read
it
the?
SP 2019-04, East Long Meadow Public Library, request by the applicant for an amendment to a special permit 2002-03 to revoke decision item number 4 requiring unimpeded internal pedestrian traffic from the town hall building to and from the library building during normal town hall library, I'm gonna assume hours, business hours. Applicant is Denise Menard, town manager. Representative is Layla Johnston, library director, 60 Center Square, East Long Meadow, Mass.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for taking us out of order. Layla has brought up to us a concern about public safety, or safety of the employees in the general area of the, what do you call that area? The checkout, check-in?
The circulation desk.
Yeah. And it goes back to the special permit that was originally done for the property. Of course, back then, it was a different time, all the way around a different time. It's been looked at by the police, by the fire, by the building inspector, building official, by the library board, and everybody's in agreement that it probably is a good idea to close that back entrance, to not have people sort of milling around where the employees are actually behind them at times. It's a little disconcerting, so you have anything else to add, or?
Yeah, just that we do have personal belongings back there as well. And there are photos included that I could show people, just there's a sign that indicates that the public can knock on the door and ask at any time to be allowed in. And as Denise said, standards were different at the time that the building was opened. You can see this is the very narrow walkway that
Give it to them.
you
and
can
they
hand it around if you would like. Those are 2 workstations there. So, individuals with wheelchairs, for example, wouldn't be able to access that hallway anyway. So we're just hoping that in the interest of safety, we can simply revoke that decision to make everything a little bit more secure all around for the library.
So before I open it to the public, does anyone on the board have any specific questions?
You talked about closing it off. You're not really going to close it off.
Correct.
No, right, correct.
You're going to close it off.
No. It would be.
The door would still be there.
Yeah, so you
for
get your deliveries through there, for instance, right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
All we're asking for is that the general public not be allowed access to that staff work area. We wouldn't want to seal the door or make any other of those kind of modifications. It would just be removal of that sign indicating that the public can access in that staff work area, and that would be almost pretty much it. We would just then disallow that practice.
I'd just like to note that for those people who've been around for a while, that this whole thing was well before your time, of course, was part of the controversy around the library being there by itself. Okay, there was a controversy about citing the library there. And it was at that time thought that it would be one unified complex, if you will, between library and town hall. This is just a little history lesson that I want to put on the record. And the idea, unfortunately, the design for the library that came out was not the design that was originally envisioned, which was that the library elevator would service town hall.
Wouldn't that have been great?
Yes, it would have been, but it was not built that way. And so we're stuck with the way it was built way back when. And you're right, you have to look at the realities of today versus, what they were looking at back then. So just for those who remember the whole controversy around this, I wanted to put that on the table, but I think the reality of things is different now, and that we need to put that in our past.
Any other members have any questions before I open to the public?
Well, if we approve it, is there any way, if we have to undo it, we can still undo it down the road?
It really is a matter of signage, and we're not going to be, putting a guard there saying you can't come through.
Yeah.
It'll be a gentle kind of process that eventually those few that are really used to using that space will just become familiar with, this isn't a passage through any longer. If we needed to undo that, it would be the same process, I would think, to amend the permit.
So since this is a public hearing,
If I may, you just might want to read aloud the section that they're asking to repeal. It's 4. That was the original special permit.
The applicant shall provide at all times during normal town hall library business hours on the first floor access, unimpeded internal pedestrian traffic from the town hall building to and from the new library building by town employees and the general public. The access, design, and pedestrian traffic flow shall be specifically approved by the building inspector and the fire department.
so this is a public hearing, so if there's anyone in the audience who would like to speak, please come forward. Hearing none, I need to have a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
I have a second on that?
I'll second it.
So a motion that's been seconded to close the public hearing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. So that passes. Other comments from board members?
I will, no.
Okay. So I'd like to...
I'll make a motion to amend the special permit 2002-03 to revoke decision number 4.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
So a motion has been seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. And it passes.
Good to go.
Thank you very much, everyone.
And thank you for going through the process.
This was fascinating. It was. I learned something very new.
You can come back for more.
I will. Thank you.
Okay.
So we're back to item 8, Mr. Clerk.
Okay, SDD 2019-4, modification of definitive subdivision plan for Buena Vista Estates Phase 2, request by applicant for modification of the subdivision plan approved for the elimination of the proposed cul-de-sac wetland crossing, establishment of the temporary cul-de-sac between the Capri Drive cul-de-sac and Buena Vista Drive, removal of the section of the right-of-way between the Capri Drive cul-de-sac and Bella Vista Drive, revision of lots 9, 10, 25, and 26 to include the land previously occupied by the removed section of the right-of-way, and establish of a 30-foot wide utility easement for proposed water and sanitary sewer lines. Applicant Bella Vista Holdings Realty Trust, Brian S. Fitzgerald, trustee, 46 Center Square, East Long Meadow, Mass.
Mr. Martin for Mr. Fitzgerald.
Yes, I'm standing in again for Mr. Fitzgerald, my partner. Mr. Carnaval is here. We have I think a full complement of experts here to help tonight. So I think you've been provided with a lot of documents. And if there's any questions about what is happening, as you know, just kind of a general overview, the original plan, subdivision plan, called for a bridge really to be constructed from Capri Lane over to Bella Vista. And it's really not the best thing to happen for a whole bunch of reasons. And so we've redone the plan to keep the cul-de-sac on Capri Lane, and the lots on the other side of that will now have access and frontage on Bella Vista. To do that, we needed to create a utility easement across those lots from Capri over to Bella Vista. We also needed to reconfigure the lot presently owned by the Longmores, which has been agreed to and will happen, and create a small conveyance back and forth between Mr. Carnaval and the Longmores to achieve that. Then, let's see, what else do we have? I think that's about the summary of what's happening here. If there's any questions, our engineer is here, and Mr. Carnaval.
So perhaps on the layout, you could explain. Sure. So the public can see it.
Let me actually turn this one around. So just to go over graphically what we're proposing. So back in 2010, this is Capri Drive. It continued to Bella Vista Drive. In 2011, we were granted a temporary cul-de-sac at the end of Capri Drive for the Phase 1 construction. We're now entering into Phase 2 construction, and we're looking to make this temporary cul-de-sac permanent, eliminate the section between the temporary cul-de-sac to Bella Vista Drive, so there will be no pavement there. There'll just be a 30-foot utility easement, and then lots 25 and 9 would absorb the section of Capri Drive that the prior plan back in 2010 showed as the right-of-way. When we were last before you, there was some question as to whether or not, or DPW had not weighed in yet. I believe that they've provided an email saying that they approve of the permanent cul-de-sac. I do have new plans tonight, which include a note. DPW is requesting that markers be placed on 2 sewer manholes that will be within this utility easement. There's a note on sheet 10, and I can provide those plans with you. We also made a slight adjustment to the right-of-way at the end of Capri Drive. The pavement didn't change, The limits of where the curbing is, nothing changed. The only thing that changed was that the actual right-of-way shrunk down from 63-foot radius down to 60 to ensure that the Longmores had a conforming lot. Their house is, we had to make sure that it was 50 feet from the right-of-way. And with this new configuration and this new plan set, they do have the 50 feet.
Any members of the board have any specific questions?
No, I saw the DPW comments, I was looking for, I don't see them here now, but I think they look like everything was fine.
I have a copy if you want.
Okay, great.
So this is a continuation of a public hearing, so I'd like to open it up to the public. Anyone wishing to speak on this issue, please step forward.
Good evening.
Indicate.
Danny Plotkin, 54 Capri Drive, Lot
Thank you.
8. Probably the closest abutter to the subject petition that's before you this evening. I've had a lot of interaction with Anthony over the past few months since this all began, and I'm in full support of the project, of the plans. I've had conversations with DPW, I've had conversations with Conservation, and I've talked to you folks the last time I was here. I think everybody involved kind of wants to see it happen. It's good all the way around, and I'm satisfied that the plans are adequate to address the concerns that I had. So I'm in full support, and I would encourage you to approve it.
Great, thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak on this issue? Hearing none, to have a motion to close public hearing.
Should I formally submit these new plans?
Yes, do that first.
And also, Mr. Chairman, I should probably read the DPW comments into the record. Sure. Okay, great. DPW has reviewed the modification plan for Bella Vista Estates, and I spoke with Stephen Ambrosio from GZA this afternoon. With the exception of a note being added to the plan regarding the location markings for the sewer manholes in the proposed easement, we take no issue with the plans as presented. Please let me know if you have any questions. So, good.
And it's in the new plans on, drawing 10, so.
Okay, you see, that's gonna pass those out.
Yeah.
Before I take a motion, anyone else have any other questions on this? So I do have a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
So we have a motion to close the public hearing. It's been second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed say nay. So it passes. I would accept the motion on this.
Do we need to vote on the waivers first?
You voted on the waivers at the May 21st meeting.
Okay,
Do
so-
you want to read them, just to
No,
recap?
they were in here, so I didn't know if we needed to revote them. No. Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the amendment to the subdivision.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
So we have a motion made. It's been seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed say nay. Passes.
Thank you very much.
Very much. Good job.
Your Mylars have been endorsed, right?
No.
No?
So what will happen is, we do a certificate of approval and a 20-day appeal period.
Right.
Just like we do
Right.
with the standard subdivision approval.
Okay.
And then in July, I believe we'll make it in time for the July 18th meeting. We might be a little close, it might be August. Planning board will endorse the plans. All the documents that I actually provided for you earlier tonight give you an opportunity to review the HOA, the covenant, the easements, and so on and so forth, so that hopefully be able to just sign away and everything will be good to go.
And it's our understanding that the irrevocable letter of credit is going to be an acceptable means for the performance guarantee.
Well, you're still doing a covenant, right? You're still, the land is under covenant, yes?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. So when you go for a building permit and lot release, then you will substitute, based on the cost estimate that is also in your packet, an amount that will be sufficient to cover, based on your discussion with the DPW after the lot release is approved. So you may indeed substitute your surety, your form of surety, yeah.
With an irrevocable letter of credit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
right, okay.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you. Have a nice night. Thank you. Thanks, Connie.
Philippines. If you want that for
Oh,
the plan.
that's good. So these are the ones that I got in the email the other day,
Correct,
right?
yes.
Perfect. Thank you very much. You're welcome.
Even though we're not on record, I will say Connie's done a wonderful job getting this file in order. And we got it done, right?
Yeah. Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you for your help.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Clerk, item 12.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, it is SDD 2019-04, modification of definitive subdivision plan for Hidden Ponds Estates. Request by applicant for modification of approval definitive subdivision plan for Hidden Ponds Estates, case SD-D 2018-01, to revise the sewer system design, request for in lieu payment for sidewalk installation and phasing of subdivision construction sequence. Applicant L. Joyce, Rosebud Builders LLC, P.O. Box 79, East Long Meadow, Mass.
Mr. Joyce?
I didn't think I'd be getting here so early in the evening. I looked at the long list and I go, oh, I won't be on till 8, so this is nice. Hello, everyone.
Tell us what you're planning on doing.
On the subdivision for Hidden Ponds Estates was approved on November 13 of last year. And part of that approval was the sanitary sewer system, which considered as a combination of a pumping station, and that's a pumping station right here. This is the existing plans that were approved. It had a pumping station, and it had a gravity force main, and it had in-ground grinder pumps. There was a force main that the gravity system dumped into the pumping station here, and it dumped into the pumping station here, and then there was 2 other lots down here that aren't here that had in-ground grinder pumps. And part of after the approval for this, the pumping station was subject to DPW approving the pumping station design. So we met with DPW on December 13th. We met with Felix, I'm not sure how to say his last name. Vashon. He's a DPW Water and Sewer Administrator, and Tom Christensen, to discuss the design. And at that meeting, it was suggested that we eliminate the pumping station and change it to a design that was used on Black Dog Lane. I think you were all here for Black Dog Lane. In Black Dog Lane, each house had its own in-ground grinder pump, and this eliminated the need for a pumping station. The town already, per TPW, the town has quite a few pumping stations to maintain, and they would, if they can, they don't want to add any more. They made that kind of clear. So we redid the plans showing a pumping station located next to each house, and that would discharge into a common force main. And I'm the builder.
That's not a good sign.
I don't actually do any of the construction. I let everyone else do that.
You subcontract.
Yes.
Whatever you do.
So now there's.
You can put it back up there if you want.
Oh, all right. Well, there's no one in the audience who's too concerned.
No, the
Yeah.
camera would like to see
Oh,
it.
all right.
So if you could rotate just a little bit so that
Okay.
she can get the.
Okay.
That's good, that's good. I think
So,
we'll see that.
to satisfy DPW, they wanted everything out of the street. That way, they're not liable for anything. This is hard to see, but there's the hatch lines on this side is a common force main. Hatch lines on this side, there's a force main on each side. It all dumps into a manhole here that's going to be in the lot, in the front of the lot. And then that manhole drained by gravity into an existing sewer manhole. So we're here just requesting approval to substitute a force main system for the gravity system.
So that's one of a number of requests.
Yes.
So let's just, anyone have any specific questions on this waiver request?
Just to understand, the actual sewer lines are also on the properties, and therefore they're owned by the homeowners and not by the DPW,
Correct.
not by the town.
Correct. And the homeowners association will be responsible for any maintenance or repair of the common main.
Right. And the homeowner will be responsible for their own pump?
Yes, their own pump and going from the pump to the common main.
Okay.
Are we gonna get comments from DPW?
We got comments, this was already submitted to DPW. If I read the response, this is the entire.
I can
Oh,
read it to the record.
All right.
Oh, okay, yeah, I saw this, okay. The plan and profile of Hidden Ponds Drive Sheet C4 has been reviewed by the DPW and is satisfied with the revisions. Thank you, Tom. Could you please also send a brief attachment that I can print out, so I just have something to give the planning board, saying the plan is acceptable with DPW, okay?
There's also a June.
Yeah, this
also an
was,
email dated June
this was
12th.
March 27th.
Well, here's the email dated.
June 12th.
Yeah, let's see that.
June 12th, the last item.
The last time.
Okay. SDD 2019-4, modification, definite subdivision plan, Hidden Ponds, no comments. Okay, no comments. Okay.
Was that the one from Kevin Duquette, or was that from DPW?
From Tom.
Okay, because we also got, Connie, or actually it might have been Bethany, forwarded me comments from the building commissioner.
Okay, SD 2019-04, modification, definite subdivision plan, request by applicant for modification approval. Where's this comment here?
Up top.
Oh, okay, here we go, fire accountability. Okay, here we are. There are no issues or concerns at this time with the building department. Okay, great. Thanks.
So any questions, further questions from the board?
The only comment I would have is, when Black Dog Lane went in, that was kind of the first one we've done in a long time. It has been very successful as far as I can tell. We haven't heard of any issues with the pumping system or with the sewage. So we have proof of concept that it does work.
So because this is a public hearing, I'll open to the public. If anyone wants to discuss, seeing no one, I'd like to get a motion to close the public hearing on this specific request.
Well, wait a minute.
We can all keep all, yeah, we could probably just keep it all
We
open.
have one public hearing going on, so.
Yeah, okay, keep it all open.
Yeah.
So the second request, Mr. Joyce.
Yes, was on sidewalks. And what I'm, just for clarification, we're not asking, and this might be a technical question that Connie may disagree with, I'm not sure what her position is on this, but we're not asking for a waiver from the sidewalk requirement. We're asking to pay into a fund to be established what it would cost for us to put in the sidewalks. The approved subdivision has has 1,500 feet of sidewalks. The sidewalk starts here on Hidden Ponds, comes around, and ends at this point on Redstone. And then on Redstone, the sidewalk starts here and ends right here. And I actually met with Mr. Christensen of DPW, and I discussed this with him. And he says, according to DPW, they've made it known to the planning board that they have a preference for where sidewalks go. And when I asked Mr. Christensen, he just about yelled at me, Parker Street. And it's not a big deal to me. It's gonna cost us the same amount of money either way, but if we had a choice, we would pay into a fund. So that's up to the, because I guess what Mr. Christensen's point is that the sidewalk ends here on Redstone, and then from Redstone to Maynard, all the way out to Elm Street, there's no sidewalk. So he's saying, like, how does it really help the town?
Connie, would you like to raise some comments?
If I may,
Yeah.
Mr. Chair. So currently, we do not have an in lieu fund for sidewalk construction. What we can do in regard to this matter is continue and I understand it's not a waiver for sidewalk construction. He wants to offer this money into an in lieu account, but right now we can't accept it. So we are, I think, this is going to be discussed later in the agenda when we might be able to introduce this amendment to the subdivision regulations. It's not, it will be a public hearing, but it's not a public hearing that is affecting our zoning bylaw. It is affecting our regulations. So we could do a simple public hearing, notify, provide notice, and then create this account with the help of our finance director. It's just a matter of establishing and changing some verbiage in our subdivision regs.
So for this specific issue, we could, essentially, because we have no vehicle to accept the money, we would have to, and hold on one second, deny the request now, but at a future date, he could make an amendment or seek an amendment to this plan.
Yes.
Yeah, if possible, and I don't know the rules, could you continue that portion of the public hearing? It just might make it simpler to me if it was continued to a later date.
So hypothetically, if it took you 6 months to set up this account, could this be continued for 6 months?
It could be, but I don't think it's going to take that long to establish.
I'm just being hypothetical.
Yes, I understand. My concern is that if you want the other, you're going to leave your hearing open because you haven't voted on the other requests for the modification. So,
Because they're grouped together.
yes, yes.
So I should have had 4 separate requests. I did.
But that would have been 4 separate advertisements too.
Oh, I
So
know.
we
Yeah.
try to make it as
Uh,
cost effective.
But can we vote on the amendment for the sewers and still keep the hearing open to deal with the sidewalk issue? I think we can.
I can't create a certificate of approval then because you haven't
Right.
closed the hearing. It presents a bit of a problem, a bit of a quandary.
Can we perhaps vote to approve the request for in lieu payment contingent on the establishment of such a fund?
I think that sounds brilliant.
And that means that if the fund is established, then it's okay?
But
And
let's put a timeline on it.
within 6 months. Lou, you happy with that?
Will it work for you, Al?
Oh, yes, that'll work, and hopefully it would be before then. But usually the sidewalks are about the last thing that you want to do because you don't want them to get broken with the trucks coming and going.
Let's just put that specific question aside for the moment. Because you also have a request to do a 2-phase development.
Yes, well, actually, the third request, I'd like to have that continued to the next hearing if that's possible. I
So
guess
you'd
maybe
like
that's
to
not-
withdraw that and have a separate hearing on that?
No, not on the 2 phases. I had requested a discussion on the partial releases. But I'm just confused how the partial releases work, so if I could.
We don't do partial releases anymore.
No.
Well, I guess that's what's confusing, because is that something, that I haven't seen that in writing anywhere. Because when I look at chapter 41, section 81U, it says that.
So over the last 6 months or so, we made changes. 6 months about the appropriate time frame.
About that.
So do you want to
Time
just,
flies.
do you want to discuss the process and what the outcome was?
Yes, the town council asked that we no longer provide partial releases from surety because we end up with roads that are never complete, and the town has to incur the expense of completing a road that had been promised to be completed by the applicant. I think some of the regulations had not been adhered to in the past as closely as they should have been. This information is really nothing new. It's not a new process. We are just applying the regulations. So you're looking for, are you looking for Are you hoping to have a partial, you're under covenant, right? You haven't
Yes.
provided any
Right.
cash surety. So, as I told the previous applicant, if you want to release lots from covenant, then you have to provide
Yes.
either some sort of cash or cash equivalent, cash security, be it in the form of a bond or a surety or cash itself, to ensure that you will complete the road. So, I guess I think we don't clearly understand what it is that you're hoping to see.
Well, I'm looking at section 81U, which states that the amount of any such bond or deposit held under this clause shall bear a direct and reasonable relationship to the expected cost, including the effects of inflation. Such amount from time to time shall be reduced so that the amount deposited continues to reflect the actual expected cost of work remaining. I guess that's what I'm confused on.
But the town council has asked us to not do a reduction in surety. So unless you're going to substitute some other form of
I guess, and that's why I would have
insurance.
preferred to discuss this with Connie. This isn't really.
Well, actually, it is up to the board, because
because-
the planning board is the one.
Because, so that even though it's Commonwealth of Mass regulations states one thing and you're doing something different, you
No,
don't,
in this-
I don't understand the law
This is
on
where
it.
there's a disconnect, because
Okay.
as long as you're insured, you're providing either some form of assurance, cash, bond, covenant, that you're
Yes.
going to complete the subdivision.
Yes.
We just don't like the trickle down, where someone says, I put the streetlights in, now I want to ask for a reduction by $10,000.
Well, I guess specifically though, I know what you're saying, I understand that, but specifically, that seems like it's in violation of the regulations.
We have home rule.
Okay, and
So-
that's what I don't understand.
We have home rule, so.
You can okay, fine, if that's the case, that's why I regret bringing that up without discussing that properly with Connie beforehand. 'Cause
So
I don't know
home
what home rule means.
Home
but
rule means
it's-
that we have to follow the Massachusetts general law, but that doesn't preclude a community from imposing stricter regulations.
Gotcha, okay, enough said on that, then, I don't beat a dead horse. And then the fourth matter was, we're requesting that this be separated into 2 phases. This is, it's something that we should have done from the very beginning, because it is actually 2 separate projects. This is the existing paved road, Redstone Drive. This is, we're gonna pave this section and make it a cul-de-sac. And we would like that done as phase 1. Then we can start building houses. We got people calling us for homes and we're saying, well, probably not till next year. Whereas here, these lots are actually got frontage on an existing road. We could actually just very easily start construction. But if we did that if it's all in one phase, we'd have to deposit a substantial amount of money with the town. And it seems like if we had started from the very beginning saying we wanted to do this, and this encompasses lots 17, 18, 19, and 20. It seems like if we had come in, I don't know, I don't want to prejudge, but it seems like if we had shown this from the beginning as phase 1, and this as phase 2, it seems like we wouldn't have run into any objections, because on each of them, we actually, on each of them, they would get their own separate surety, cash or a letter of credit, and they would just, the only difference is you'd figure the surety for this section and a surety for that section, but then we're able to start construction.
Members of the board have any comments?
Yeah, I just want to make sure I understand what we're talking about. So basically what we're saying is what is in black and the cul-de-sac that finishes that black line there would be phase 1. And is there any relationship between phase 1 and phase 2 from a mechanical standpoint?
Okay, actually, what's in black is actually not part of any phase.
Well,
We're
you got.
Where
I'm calling it a phase.
Okay, fine, that's okay. Because The sewer is in the street. We are extending the water main, which is somewhere down here on Redstone. We're extending the water main to the end. And when we extend that water main will also be extended down.
Yeah, so when you do that, you're just gonna put a T in and keep right on going?
Yes.
And someday you'll deal with that later? So, when you do phase two?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Is there something,
I,
there's some hesitations, I'm wondering, is
Yeah,
there a problem here?
Through the chairman? Sure. My greatest experience with phases has been Great Woods, which has gone through, I don't know, 10 or 12 phases by now, okay? And in that case, each phase has been treated as a separate subdivision. There was a master plan, but each phase was treated as a separate subdivision, okay? Not just for construction sequencing, but as actually a completely separate subdivision filing, okay? That gave them flexibility going forward to tailor each phase to what they saw as their market going forward. I don't think it's sufficient to say that we're going to just build this in phases and do surety on one and surety on the other. You're almost, in my mind, you're almost saying you're going back to ground zero and starting over with two completely separate subdivisions. Given that the one on the right that's in black could have been done as an A&R, okay, but wasn't. It's almost like going back to the get-go and saying, okay, we're going to redo this as two separate subdivisions. And I don't see that we could just wave our hands and say that's okay. You know, it's two new, completely new separate filings in my mind. I don't know, Connie, whether I'm reading that right or not.
My thought.
Through the chair.
I see what George sees, that's an existing road, it could have been an A&R, and now we're coming back to the table. My recommendation might be to rescind the subdivision and let the applicant come back before you with two separate plans. Or you can modify, and you can call it a phasing, but you're still modifying your plan. There are many changes here that are associated with it. It's going to be an expense, an added expense for the developer to come back in with a new set of plans. But the point is the subdivision going to be completed within 2 years, because that's the way the regulations read. You have to have this subdivision, your infrastructure in place within 2 years. And our clock's been ticking, I think it's been a year almost.
Oh, it'll be complete in under 2 years, both, the whole thing.
So I'm going to ask probably what seems to be the most blunt question. So why do you need to phase it now?
So I can start building a home tomorrow.
Why wouldn't you be able to build tomorrow?
Because then the DPW is gonna ask for $600,000, $700,000,
So it's a
$800,000.
financial
It's money,
issue.
right. I've got, if they ask, because then I have to bond or put cash or something for everything. And I don't have anything to build right now. I want to be able to start building tomorrow. And it seems like the town what the town doesn't want is to be stuck with an unfinished subdivision. It seems like you get the same safety this way.
Through the chair, I would disagree, because the lot has already been clear cut. Okay, so it's been, the entire lot has been modified already. So, we do run that risk of ending up with a clear-cut area that may not be developed. You know, there are many ways to provide surety. The covenants are one. And if you're not going to actually be building on that second part of it until the first part of it is done, then there's lots of land up there to provide covenants to cover the costs that you're talking about.
Through the chair,
Sure.
the $600,000, what is that for? What is that?
I don't know, it just is what it costs to put, I have no idea what it costs to put the road in. I'm just throwing out a number. But that's the cost for the putting in the stormwater system and the,
Oh, that's the cost estimate you're referring to?
I haven't done a cost.
Wait.
I'm just saying it'll cost hundreds of thousands.
Okay, I'm getting a little bit confused here. I thought we were talking about, your concern was putting up the bond to the town to make sure all these improvements got completed at some point in time.
I want to be able to start, get a permit tomorrow for this lot.
Okay,
For me to do that, it's my understanding, I now have to deposit cash or surety with the town for the cost of the entire subdivision.
Or a covenant.
Well, we have a covenant, but can
On
I
lots.
get a building permit with a covenant?
No, you have to provide some, so you have to go to the DPW and say, okay, I want to release whichever lot it is, or these release, it's probably, I'm not speaking for the DPW, but generally they calculate a percentage of that infrastructure, and that's what they ask you to bring to the table. It's not the full cost, do you have a cost estimate? You don't have a cost
No, I
estimate?
don't.
So first step is they have to provide a cost estimate.
I didn't know it was done that way. I don't think anyone knew it was done that way. So if I just want to release these 3 lots, I go to TBW and I say, how much money to release these 3 lots?
They're going to give you a cost estimate for the
Okay.
whole subdivision, because
Yeah,
remember, the town isn't.
Right, for the whole, that's
the
it,
whole
for the
subdivision.
whole subdivision.
Would you let her finish?
Okay.
Let her finish.
So they give you, they provide the cost estimate to complete the whole subdivision. Okay, should you walk away from the table tomorrow, the town has to know how much it might cost to complete the subdivision so that they can build it, they can bid it rather. Because the town is not in the business of developing land, okay? So once you have that full amount for the cost estimate, and say you want to release 3 lots, then the DPW will calculate a prorate percentage of that total amount that you must place to protect the town's interests in the event that you don't complete phase 2 of the, which you're calling
Okay.
phase 2.
And then, so let's say I do that tomorrow. They'll figure out what it costs basically to put in the whole subdivision. We started work on the whole subdivision. We got the road cut in. We're doing grading. But then later on, I want to release 4 more lots. Then do they use that same original figure for the entire subdivision? Or do they recalculate it based on the remaining amount of work to be done?
They will recalculate it based on the remaining amount of work. And I think that's where people get confused about the whole partial reduction of surety, because if you do this in blocks, if you will, you have to be able to take this construction to a point where whatever infrastructure is in place, be it your water line that's going to service so many lots, you can't just say, I'm going to stop at lot 4, but as you look on down the road, the water main connection ends at lot 7. You have to take that road to 7, not stop at 4.
Okay, the way I'm understanding it now, I get almost the same thing I wanted as I would get in phases. If I can, I've never had, and I know Anthony doesn't understand that either, the fellow who was in here in the prior one. That's not the impression we've been given. But that's fine, if that's how it works, I've got witnesses. If that's how it works, then great. Then I withdraw my request even for the phases.
All right, so we still have not opened the public hearing yet.
We're not closed.
No, we haven't asked the public whether they wish to speak on it. So is there anyone from the audience who wishes to speak on this, please come forward. Okay, so now I will take a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
A second.
So I have a motion that's been seconded, so everyone in favor of closing the public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
When opposed, say nay, so close the public hearing. So the way I read this, so, and please, Mr. Chairman, former Chairman, let me know if you think I'm heading in the right direction here. So, the one thing for sure that we can positively vote on is the sanitary force main change. So, does everyone agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so do I have a motion on that specific item?
I'll make a motion to approve the modification of the subdivision plan relative to the sanitary sewer modifications.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
So we have a motion that's been seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed say nay, so that passes. So let's just talk about the two phases. So, Mr. Joyce, are you making a request to withdraw this item?
Correct.
Okay, so,
Make a motion to accept the withdrawal.
okay, do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
So we have a motion and a second, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay, so that passes. So the sidewalk removal, we're back to that. So, Connie, help me.
I would recommend that you not grant the petition to modify the installation of sidewalk and deposit into an in lieu payment account until
Well, the petitioner
Six.
would have the right to come back.
yeah, I think to come back at a later time to petition that again. I think that might be
That's
the
not-
cleanest
that's not
way
what we
rather than to
said.
continue.
Through the chair,
Go ahead.
could we not vote to accept the payment in lieu of, on condition that a sidewalk account is set up to accept that?
That was right, contingent upon, we have the
Right.
verbiage.
Meaning that if for some reason the town doesn't set up the account, sidewalks go in. If they do, we accept the money.
We have contingent upon the creation of an in lieu account.
Yeah.
So
I'll
you will accept.
make that motion.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
So we have motion has been seconded. All in favor of that?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. No one? So that passes. So your fourth request was the bond.
Yes, and I withdraw that request.
Motion to accept.
Motion to accept the withdrawal.
Do I have a second on that?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay, so that passes.
Thank you, everyone.
Get over it.
Thank you.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
Okay. So, other business. Connie, do you want to discuss item 13?
Yes, this is a discussion. Where is our health department? No.
She said she didn't see she's on the agenda. And so she wants to move it to the July meeting so she can have the health department.
Okay.
Or invite the health department.
Okay, all right, so we were supposed to have a discussion with the health department of the creation, in regard to support for the creation of an in lieu account for sidewalk requirements.
So do we then wish to also move for item 14 and then 14 again to the next meeting?
I think we can
I would say
begin
yes.
discussion, oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me.
That's okay.
No.
So item
Hold on.
14 is the preliminary discussion for amending the rules and regulations for the submission of petitions and plans for subdivision for the town of East Long Meadow, Massachusetts, to include the establishment of an in lieu of sidewalk construction fund. Right now, we have our language. We can draft some language. I can bring it to you the next meeting. If this is something, especially since based on our recent conversation, that you might entertain for consideration.
Do members of the board have any comments on this?
I don't think we should take this up until after we've done item 13. Need to discuss it with.
Because otherwise,
the
health department's
yeah.
comments are meaningless.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
And I would also strongly suggest that if possible, we get, Mr. Chairman, that we get DPW involved in that discussion. Because I'd just like to hear from them whether or not they're in agreement with having this in lieu thing set up.
Yeah, and at a meeting last year when we discussed the project at the corner of Converse, Dwight, and Maple, there was a requirement to put up a sidewalk, and I know that I expressed an opinion that it was a sidewalk to nowhere, and could they make a payment in lieu of? So I think I'm in favor of of this, but.
Yeah, but I'd like
Okay,
to,
yeah.
since DPW is going to be handling the money.
Sure.
Particularly, I'd like to know how we're going to know that the money offered, in fact, represents the cost of X square feet of sidewalk. Okay, I mean, I think we ought to get, in every case, get DPW's opinion, not just take the applicant's opinion of, this is what it would cost.
Well, I can address that for you if
Sure.
I may. I had the conversation with the DPW, and they declined the invitation to join us here at the meeting. They said they would be delighted to provide a memo, and they
That would be
certainly
great.
would evaluate each situation as it arose. And just as they provide a cost estimate for the completion of the infrastructure, that is already a line item in the estimate that you get for all of your subdivisions. So that's part of the process.
Okay.
So you would know that when you review the cost estimate. So that's not really going to change. They have a basic formula they use, calculations based on the linear foot, not the cubic yard of the installation of the sidewalk. So I think that if I provide you some draft language for the insertion for the regulations, and then when the health department comes to the July meeting, then you should have a nice, healthy discussion and be able to walk away from the table knowing that we would have a public hearing. It would be based on this information that we're providing, this text amendment that I'm providing to you with your input and with the Department of Public Health input. And DPW, of course, is in favor of it. And then you'd be good to go for the next meeting, hopefully, where we would do the public hearing and
In August.
take, yeah.
All right.
So does that
Yep.
make it more efficient?
Sure.
Okay, all right.
So the next item is rules and regulations for submission petitions of subdivisions, include installation of conduit for infrastructure as requested by Director of IT.
Yes.
Give me a short explanation of that.
So with broadband and other ancillary needs for communications, they want to make sure that there is money for the installation of a conduit, the tubing that any of the broadband would go in. I guess that's been left out in the past. So they wanted to come to the table and make sure that they had their needs covered too, so that we can move forward in the 5th generation of communications.
Is this for conduit for IT department needs?
Homeowner. Because right now, I guess Ryan was our director of the IT department, said he wanted to include the installation of conduit. Because I guess, I'm not quite sure what's happening, why this was brought to light, but.
So maybe we could get some more descriptive language from him?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because the town has a Wi-Fi infrastructure.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's to facilitate that or if it's to facilitate, for the entire.
Yeah, it seems like with everything going more and more wireless,
Yeah.
seems like if this was a request, we would have heard it 15 years ago, not today.
Yeah.
Well, if I may,
I'd like to know more about it.
I don't know whether he's referring to, for instance, conduit to, say, a theoretical sewage pumping station, or whether he's talking about conduit to the houses, because typically, Charter does not, which is our broadband provider, does not use conduit. They lay their cables directly in the ground, okay? So I'm not sure exactly what he's looking for, and since we're gonna rate this into the regulations, I would like some clarity on that.
I think I've seen installation at my home in years past, and they actually place a plastic PVC pipe and run the wires.
That's not what Charter does.
They lay them loosely in the ground
It's an
without
orange,
protection?
tiny orange, it's almost like a wire with a built-in conduit, so it's all one thing. It's a round orange conduit.
It's a cable, it's not a conduit, that's a cable.
Yeah.
That's a cable, that's not a conduit.
Yeah, but I have one that's like that, but
Yeah.
same thing, there's no conduit.
I'll ask him for a little more detail. How's
Yeah,
that?
please.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
All right, discussion of postage.
Bethany, you're up.
So I was reviewing our accounts as I'm learning more about our accounts and funds. And I saw that the planning board uses the most for, or has the highest cost for postage. And as we're trying to go more electronic with applications, I was wondering what your thoughts are on receiving email packets and that sort of thing.
Through the chair, please?
Please, yeah, please.
Okay.
You can save this $7.85 package.
Yeah.
Believe me, yeah.
Yeah,
That's fine.
I would much prefer to have it on PDF because that way it can go onto my machine and I don't have to have it filed like this.
And my thought was for plans that aren't easy to see on a computer, I could put them, we could maybe have a spot in the collector's office for the mailboxes, and put them in there and you could come by and pick them up and I could shoot you an email.
That your packets are
That
ready.
your packets, and you could pick them up right from the town hall.
Yeah, through the chair.
Sure.
My feeling is 100% fine with me. And I don't have any, all day long, regardless if it's a planning board matter or not, all day long I'm looking at plans on my computer anyways. And, I can figure it out. But my only concern, and I know we can solve this, it's not a big deal, is we might have to use Dropbox or something like that because some of these packages may be so big that they won't go. So as long as we have a system that we're all using, I would recommend Dropbox, but whatever you want to do, a system that we're all using to make sure that everyone, even regardless of how big the file is going to be, we get it without any problems, I'm all in.
Do you have you used Google Docs?
Yeah.
Okay, because we're not able to use Dropbox, threat of virus. So we do use Google Docs, so we could upload to Google Docs.
That would be ideal.
Yep, that's fine. That's
Do
fine.
you want paper here at the table?
Yes.
Yes, that I
Okay.
do, yeah.
Okay.
So just one set instead of 5, and no postage.
Yeah.
So before we do our last item, I was remiss, so since I have been elected chair, I wish to no longer be the representative to the Community Preservation Committee, and it's my understanding that Mr. Torsha is a willing participant to be named as our representative to the Community Preservation Commission. So would someone like to make a motion that we appoint Jonathan Torsha as the planning board representative to the Community Preservation Committee?
Make a motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Say
Aye.
Aye.
You don't think we should have seen his resume first?
No.
Oh, that's right, you sign it, then you read it. I forgot, that's how they do it.
17, draft open space and rec plan. Preparation of letter of review to be included in final submittal to DCS. Connie?
Have you had an opportunity to go through the rec plan, the open
I
space?
did, yeah.
Any questions, concerns? Do you need a synopsis for the public? We are conducting public hearings. We did our first public outreach last week.
Yeah.
Public comment, rather. And I believe Donna Prather is going to be scheduling another, so folks in the listening audience should stay tuned and watch our meeting posting site.
So I'm just gonna, not speak as a member of the planning board on this one, but I really still remained troubled about the Brown property. And the way I say I'm troubled is that at the town meeting in which the money was approved to purchase the Brown property, there was a lengthy discussion about renovating that property into athletic fields. And that has never occurred. So I, and I know certain others that I speak to from time to time, feel like that was a chance that the town did not take to solve some of the field issues. I do know that as being a member of the Community Preservation Committee for the last year or so, there have been some, I think I'm going to use the word acrimonious discussions about renovating Heritage Park, adding an additional field or two, and it really would have been a wonderful opportunity to use the Brown Farm to kind of take care of some of that issues. Because I did notice that in the plan, there really wasn't a discussion about using the Brown property for more, I guess, team recreation, if my memory serves me correctly after reading it. And there was still that entire focus on Heritage Park. So that would be my only comment to that. So,
Mine is the same as Russ's. I'm disappointed that we haven't done more with that when we have a need for space, open space.
and I do know that
for
there are
recreation.
people who really think that what's being done at Brown is wonderful, and it's great, and it's great open space, and it's, you know, which is.
But we need more athletic fields.
I think we have quite a bit of wetland there. It's based on the preliminary review, and George, correct me if I'm wrong, it was maybe 30 acres that could be used for athletics.
I don't know the exact numbers. There's a long history of this whole thing, okay? This is, I think, the third or fourth recreation director who's been involved with this. So, and we've gone from Board of Selectmen to Town Council in the interim. And I'm not going to comment on the politics of the Board of Selectmen at the time that the decision was made, because that's history, ancient history. Full disclosure, I was on the committee that wrote the open space plan, and so I have gone through every word of it about 6 times. And it is deliberately vague, okay, on a lot of things.
Okay.
And the reason for that is very simple. When you go for grants, you have to have an open space plan. If it's not in the plan, the points you get on the application go way down. And so we wrote it as broadly as possible so that as grant-seeking opportunities arise over the next 5 years, that there's enough support in there that can be read in such a way that there's a wide variety of things that can be done. Okay? The Rec Commission, which Donna Prather is working with, has been much more active in recreation commissions in the past. And one of the things that they're hoping to do with this plan is to get the consultant to do a more comprehensive evaluation of the needs of the town and look at where we have opportunities to do that, okay? And so, for instance, on Heritage Park, the plan does not say put fields there. It says, year 1, do phase 1, whatever phase 1 happens to be, which is not yet defined, okay? So, and that most likely will be improvements around the pond. Okay, and hopefully improving the drainage structure of the pond to begin with, so that it's not flooding all the time. But, other things like that. So it was deliberately written vaguely to be as broad as possible to support what the Recreation Commission and the other involved property parties are pursuing. Okay.
So, my question would be then, if that's the case, how much can we really rely on the report? Because it sounds like it was written more for the benefit of securing some kind of a grant than it is for really giving us detailed direction. And I clearly see why you did it that way, but I just wouldn't want anyone to think this is it when it really was not it. It's really kind of meant as a tool for something else.
Correct. And it's, okay, for instance, for open space, when we looked at both conservation and recreation to provide guidance on that, okay? For fields, you're looking at the Recreation Commission, okay? And it's their job to put together a detailed plan based on our demographics, okay? How many junior soccer fields do we need? How many full-size soccer fields do we need? Where do we need them, okay? And to look at, when you look at putting a field in, you're not just looking at a field. You're looking at cars for 2 teams or 4 teams, actually, okay, depending on your schedule.
Drainage and all that stuff that goes with it.
All that goes with it. So, and really, again, it's under the purview of the Recreation Commission, but they don't have the expertise. You know, the director has some of the expertise, but when you get right down to it, they've got to go out and get help, and they know that, okay? Having the plan in place gives them the opportunity to ask for money to go out and get that help going forward. And that's where the real debate will come as to, do we put soccer fields in, lacrosse fields, baseball fields? Can we make one field that uses all of those, does all of those things? You know, I'm not a recreation person, so I'm not gonna.
The other thing that struck me from the report, and which I thought was absolutely wonderful, was the inventory of open space.
Yes.
And the detail of the inventory was spectacular, I thought. Yeah, I had no idea we had, well, I mean, I've been a resident for 16 years, so I guess I'm still a newbie in town, but I still had no idea where some of these places were, number one, and, you know, what they were classified as and what the demographic of that area was. It was fascinating reading, actually. So,
Well, we hope that the public will use this and have a better understanding of what is available in town. And in regard to grant funding, the public should be aware that the state has limited resources, and in order to apply for any funding, it's a grant application process. So many years ago, towns were allocated money. It doesn't work that way anymore. So if we want to go to the state or seek federal, state, local, that's how it comes down, we have to have these plans in place. Otherwise, we're left without any fields that we might be able to fund. And it's critical that we complete this plan and have support and have it accepted at the state level this time around, because it sat for a little bit, and we can't let it sit on the shelf and blow the dust off it anymore.
So the one thing as chair that I would like to add to our agenda for every meeting, if it's applicable, is the status of things that we've voted on, and specifically zoning amendments. Because they go from here, they go to the town council. So I think it's important that we become aware of what the next step is and how it might be acted on.
So that's a very good idea. So I think, just my idea, I have to do that all the time, every day in my own life. So, and I think the easiest way to do that is in a chart form. So if you start out with, this is the beginning and this is the steps all the way along, then as you keep getting more stuff, you just keep adding to the chart, as opposed to writing an update every single time, because that'll just kill you. I mean, it'll take you forever, to drive you crazy, and it won't even be good anyways.
Sounds good.
So it's just a chart with columns, check off dates, whatever you need to do.
So based upon that, just real quick, if we can. So we passed zoning bylaw with respect to, is it 330 Chestnut?
Yeah.
330 Chestnut. So what is the current status of that?
We are waiting for it to be scheduled to the Planning Matters Town Council Subcommittee.
So has it been on their agenda and then they referred it to committee?
It went from Town Council to the subcommittee.
Okay.
And the subcommittee is waiting to convene or reconvene until after, we've just had our election, so they're going to also restructure. So once they have their people in position, then they will call.
Okay.
Because we have one member, Ralph Page, who was a member at large, who is now on town council.
Yeah.
So I just have to move the chess pieces around a little bit.
Okay, good.
So, Mr. Chairman, can I ask that we ask our director to prepare a letter of review to be included in the submittal to DCS that we can then look at and see if we like it?
Yes.
And you can provide some input to her on that?
Okay, all right.
Because they do need to get this to the state, and they have to have something from the planning board that says, we accept it, we like it, we don't like it. Okay, preferably we don't put something that says we don't like it, but, something that says we approve of.
So does the board have a general agreement that we're in favor of the report?
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely, yes.
Okay, good.
Okay, good.
Great.
Okay.
Okay.
Would you like me to draft the letter for your review? Okay, sounds good.
Do we have any other items to act on or discuss? Hearing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Congratulations.